I'm looking for a place that will collect, clip, bath, and return my dog, KN17727, cigarettes and tobacco, animals and birds bought or sold on commission. I want a dog that's going to collect and clean my bath, return my cigarette, and give tobacco to my animals and give my birds up a commission. I'm looking for somebody to sell my dog, collect my clip, buy my animal, and straighten out my bird. I'm looking for a place to bathe my bird, buy my dog, collect my clip, sell me cigarettes, and commission my bath. I'm looking for a place that's going to collect my commission, sell my dog, burn my bird, and sell me to the cigarette. Going to bird my buy, collect my will, and bathe my commission. I'm looking for a place that's going to animal my soul, knit my return, bathe my foot, and collect my dog. Commission me to sell my animal to the bird to clip, and buy my bath, and return me back to the cigarette.
These are all protest songs now, come on. It's not British music, it's American music. Now, come on.
Let me feel it.
God, man.
What?
Left fingertips. I wouldn't even show you my right hand.
No, you don't play the guitar with your right hand.
Picking up angels who just arrived here from the coast. Look so fine at first, but left looking just like a ghost.
Who said that?
It was in a
All my
magazine.
songs are protest songs. Every single one of them. That's all I do is protest.
Many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man.
The March on Washington was not only a moment of extreme hopefulness, it was a moment of the confirmation of the possibility of that hope becoming a reality. That was the moment of recognition of what people could do to change history.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I was up close when King was giving that speech. You know, to this day, it still affects me in a profound way.
I would like now to introduce a young singer from New York, Bob Dylan.
I looked out the podium, I looked out the crowd, and I remember thinking to myself, man,
I've never seen such a large crowd.
Oh, the time will come up when the winds will stop and the breeze will cease to be breathing. Like the stillness in the wind before the hurricane begins. The hour that the ship comes in.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
And the ship's wise men will remind you once again that the whole wide world is watching.
He would take individuals and infuse them with life that you could understand. So even if he never considered himself a protest singer, he was a protest singer. And he saw what was happening all around him. And everybody else saw what was happening all around them, but he voiced that for the first time.
Hard rain's gonna fall, means something's gonna happen. Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? And where have you been, my darling young one? I've stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains. I've walked and crawled on 6 crooked highways. I've stepped in the middle of 7 sad forests. I've been out in front of a dozen dead oceans. I've been 10,000 miles in the mouth of a graveyard. And it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a
Shot. Oswald has been shot.
rains are gonna fall.
We were going to make this world a decent, better place, but that loss, I think it traumatized the nation terribly. The Emergency Civil Liberties Union was people who were really deeply involved in progressive politics, were idealists and had a dream about fairness and justice. Well, here's Bobby, he's 21 years old or whatever, he gets up there, and they're giving him an award, and his discomfort was extraordinary. And he pointed his finger at them and he said,
I haven't got any guitar. I can talk, though. I want to thank you for the Tom Paine Award on behalf of everybody that went down to Cuba. First of all, because they were all young, and it took me a long time to get young. And now I consider myself young, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I'm young. And I only wish that all you people who are sitting out here tonight weren't here. And I could see all kinds of faces with hair in their head and everything like that, everything leading to youngness.
You know, they were trying to build me up as a topical songwriter. I wasn't never a topical songwriter to begin with. For whatever reason they were doing it was reasons that didn't really apply to me.
Old people, when their hair grows out, they should go out. I look down to see the people that are governing me and making my rules, and they haven't got any hair in their head. I get very uptight about it. There's no black and white, left and right to me anymore. There's only up and down is very close to the ground. And I'm trying to go up without thinking about anything trivial such as politics.
The evening that Dylan was given the Freedom Award from the Emergency Civil Liberties Committee, apparently he got up, stood on his hind legs, and said he was not a political poet and nobody's left-wing servant, but an independent minstrel or something, and astonished and pissed everybody off by not being a nice trained SEAL.
People were expecting him to give the same thing over and over again and in a precise manner and a precise theory and in a precise way. And it got creepy because why should you have to push yourself into a tunnel that isn't yours? I mean, you're driving along and all these roads are apparent. Why do you have to take that tunnel and go in and it's literally a tunnel because it's political in its theory? Whereas you're out there driving around with all this other scenery going on, and that's what you're bringing out.
I was like an outsider. Anyway, I'd come to town as an outsider, and I still, in a lot of ways, I was still more outside than I ever was, really. They were trying to make me an insider to some kind of trip they were on. I don't think so.
Through the mad, mystic hammering of the wild, ripping hail, the sky cracked its palms in naked wonder at the clinging of the church bells, blew far into the night, leaving only bells of lightning and its thunder. Striking for the gentle, striking for the kind, striking for the guardians and protectors of the mind, and the poet and the painter who lights up his rightful time. And we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
Bob had a concert at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium where he told everybody how he and Neuwirth and them had traveled across the country, and he sang Chimes of Freedom Flashing, and it was incredible. After the concert, all of a sudden we found ourselves trapped. There was a press of people outside. We made it into the station wagon, and then all the people came rushing over to the station wagon, and we slowly started to move the station wagon out, and I turned around and saw there was an amp and his guitars and their suitcases in the back with a little tarp over it, and I saw the tarp moving. 2 young girls stowed away under the tarp. So we had to stop and gently eject them. And of course, then all the people were pressing around. All of a sudden, he had become an idol. That was the beginning of people wanting more from him, you know, as if just the songs weren't enough.
Everybody wanted to sleep with Bobby, to get high with Bobby. The reverence was for Bobby, but it was also for what he had created, and everybody wanted to get close to it. The desire to be next to him produced a huge magnet, which drew everybody, young and old.
Genius makes its own rules, and Dylan is a genius, a singing conscience and moral referee, as well as a preacher. He's also a very embarrassed young man now, because it's always embarrassing to sit there with your feet in cement while somebody compliments you either casually or lavishly. But I've been reading a number of stories about Bob this afternoon, and they are all of that order. A comment in Billboard, the trade publication, says, Dylan's poetry is born of a painful awareness of the tragedy that underlies the contemporary human condition. Bob, do you sing partly your own songs and partly other people's, or where do you get your material?
Well, they're all mine now.
You sing all your own material. And how long have you been writing your own music?
For about 2 years.
He came to be as he is because things needed saying, and the young people were the ones who wanted to say them. He somehow had an ear on his generation. I don't have to tell you, you know him, he's yours, Bob Dylan.
I ain't looking to compete with you, beat or cheat or mistreat you, simplify you, classify you, deny, defy, or crucify you. All I really wanna do is, baby, be friends with you.
thank you. I want to thank you. I love you.
Well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby, if you don't know by now.
Johnny Cash was more like a religious figure to me. And there he was at Newport, you know, standing side by side. Meeting him was a high thrill of a lifetime. And just the fact that he had sung one of my songs was it was unthinkable.
Johnny Cash and Gene Carter came by. After Bob had put a couple 3 tunes on tape for him, this little portable machine, Johnny called him out in the hall, and Bob came back in a few minutes later and was holding his guitar, and he gave me his guitar. New Earth was saying, wow, that's an old country tradition, and somebody gives you a guitar, that's a big honor, you know.
This is called Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. Please play a song for me. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy, and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I'll come following you. Though I know that evening's empire has returned into sand, vanished from my hand, left me blindly here to stand, but still not sleeping. My weariness amazes me, I am branded on my feet. I have no one to meet, and the ancient empty streets too dead for dreaming.
When Bob began to ignore topical material, it bothered me, because he wrote such marvelous material, you know. And suddenly to stop that meant that he was going away from a political consciousness that we felt we all had. One can attribute that as going commercial. He's getting away from this, and that bothered us.
And take me disappearing through the smoke rings of my mind, down the foggy ruins of time, far past the frozen leaves, the haunted, frightened trees, out to the windy beach, far from the twisted reach of crazy sorrow. Yes, to dance beneath a diamond sky with one hand waving free, silhouetted by the sea, circled by the circus sands, with all memory and fate driven deep beneath the waves. Let me forget about today until tomorrow.
An artist has got to be careful never really to arrive at a place where he thinks he's at somewhere. You always have to realize that you're constantly in the state of becoming, you know, and as long as you can stay in that realm, you'll sort of be all right. I can't self-analyze my own work, and I wasn't going to cater to the crowd because I knew certain people would like it and certain people didn't like it. I mean, I got in the door when no one was looking. I was in there now, and there was nothing anybody from then on could ever do about it.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
The police have got Mario away. They have pulled him away from the scene. The police have pulled Mario away from the scene.
All of us felt that those folks before didn't get it. We were surrounded by people who were insensitive to the need for change. And that's why Peter Palmieri and Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, all of whom were about the same age, were put in positions of leadership because there was an identification amongst the college students.
I felt it all over America. You know, wherever in America you went, you felt that things were happening in an Olympian type of way, which children were beyond their parents' command.
He tried to exercise
Sometime around that period of time, I was painting in Berkeley. And the phone rang. I think this was 1964. The phone rang. It was Bob, and he said, I have to do these shows. You want to come? I said, well, I'm painting pictures. He said, I'll buy you a leather jacket. And he said, all the paint you need. The next thing I knew, you know, I got on a plane and I flew to New York. In those days, artistic success was not dollar-driven. It was, you know, those were simpler times. If you had something to say, which was basically the way people were rated, you know, they would say, have you seen Ornette Coleman? Does he have anything to say? And it was the same with Bob or anybody else, you know, did they have anything to say or not?
Darkness at the break of noon, shadows even the silver spoon, the handmade blade, the child's balloon, eclipses both the sun and moon. To understand you know too soon, there's no sense in trying. As pointed threats they bluff with scorn, suicide remarks are torn from the fool's gold mouthpiece. The hollow horn plays wasted words, proves to warn that he not busy being born is busy dying.
Nobody heard anything like this before. No one had heard anything like this before. There was a word of mouth. And by the way, a crowd of 1,200 people isn't that big a crowd if you stop and think about it. That's about how many people are waiting for the D train at the Sheridan Square right now.
While preachers preach of evil fates, teachers teach that knowledge waits can lead to $100 plates. Goodness hides behind its gates, but even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked.
Around that time, he asked me if I wanted to go with him he had a date in Chicago. Did I want to come along? What struck me was that he was at one, or he became identical with his breath. And Dylan had become a column of air, so to speak, at certain moments, where his total physical and mental focus was this single breath coming out of his body. He had found a way in public to be almost like a shaman, with all of his intelligence and consciousness focused on his breath.
So don't fear if you hear a foreign sound to your ear. It's all right, Ma. I'm only sighing.
He was doing more and more prose writing, I think, at the time, too. I think he was spending more time actually sitting down and writing stuff that he wasn't necessarily going to sing, and then finding out that some of that could be sung as well.
Of war and peace, the truth just twists. Its curfew goal just glides. Upon four-legged forest clouds, the cowboy angel rides.
The ideal performances of the songs would then come on stages throughout the world. Very few could be found on any of my records. Every second, every reaching the audience is what it's all about.
All except beneath the trees of Eden.
There are no veils, curtains, doors, walls, anything between what pours out of Bob's hand onto the page and what is somehow available to the core of people who are believers in him. There's some people that, not interested. But if you're interested, he goes way, way deep.
Go away from my window, leave at your own chosen speed.
A typical evening, I guess there would be sound check, and there would be me dealing with what kind of mood Bob was going to be in. I was already doing that, and when he was cheerful and up, it was just spectacular. And if he was dark, there wasn't any way to reach him.
But always strong.
Bob seemed to ignore whatever was coming towards him. He could literally, and I'd seen him do it, turn his back and play a whole song, play 2 songs, be fiddling around with the equipment on the stage and never even look at the public, and it doesn't make the slightest bit of difference in the magnetic draw. It's as though the public wasn't even there. He's just going to do what he's going to do, and he has to change, and he has to keep moving, and he has to add this, and he has to crank the sound. And if you ever work with him, if he did the song the night before as a waltz, tonight he's going to do it in 2/4 time just to you up, you know. And so you just have, with somebody who moves like that, I now see it, that it's very unique, and it's admirable, and it's a pain in the ass if you're trying to work with him. Or it's a pain in the ass if you're expecting something else from him.
If everybody really listened to his own conscience and really acted upon what he thought was right and wrong, rather than being so hopelessly passive, which I think just about everybody is, I think it's probably the main disease, is the passivity, where we will listen to whatever anybody else says. It's daddy and mommy and school teacher and Sunday school teacher and president.
This is what the war in Vietnam is all about. The old and the very young. The Marines have burned this old couple's cottage because fire was coming from here.
The day's operation burned down 150 houses, wounded 3 women, killed 1 baby, wounded 1 Marine, and netted these 4 prisoners. 4 old men who could not answer questions put to them in English.
Feeling this political pull very, very strongly, and I was thinking what the 2 of us could do together, you know, as far as any kind of movement and that. And so our tour had come to an end, and Bob said something like, "Hey, we ought to do Carnegie Hall or some big place like that." And I said, "What are we going to do with it?" And it's a pretty cold thing to say. But then we did talk about, you know, that he wanted to do his music, and I wanted to do all this other stuff. And he said he didn't want to do all that other stuff, you know, so that's pretty clear. And I was disappointed.
Oh, my name, it is nothing. My age, it means less.
I mean, he'd given us, by that point, the greatest songs in our anti-war civil rights arsenals. 30-some years, whenever I'd go to a march or a sit-in or a lie-in or a be-in or a jail-in, people would say, "Is Bob coming?" I'll say, "He never comes, you moron. You know, when are you going to get it?" Never did, probably never will. And so I think he couldn't have written songs like the ones he wrote if he didn't feel. Generally, I think sort of for the underdog. But I think that he didn't want to have to be the guy people were going to go to. I mean, the times then were cut and dry. You were either for the war or you were against it. You either hated niggers or, you know, or you supported King. And you were forced to take a side.
John is in the basement mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement thinking about the government. The man in a trench coat, badge out, laid off, says he's got a bad cough, wants to get it paid off. Look out, kid, it's something you did. God knows when, but you're doing it again. You better duck down the alleyway looking for a new friend. The man in a coonskin cap and a pig pen wants $11 bills. You only got 10. Maggie comes fleet-foot, face full of black soot, talking at the heat, put plants in the bed, but the phone's tapped anyway. Maggie says the men say they must bust an early man. Orders from the DA, look out, kid, don't matter what you did. But walk on your tiptoes, don't tie no bows. Better stay away from those that carry around a fire hose. Keep parts of plain clothes. You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows.
Words have their own meaning, they have different meanings, and then words change their meaning. Words that were meant something 10 years ago don't mean that now, they mean something else.
Don't steal, don't live 20 years of schooling and they put you on the day shift. Look out, kid, they keep it all hid. Better jump down a manhole, light yourself a candle. Don't wear sandals and try to avoid the scandals. Don't want to be a bum, you better chew gum. The pump don't work cause the vandals took the handle.
Some Very Homesick Blues, I mean, I don't think I would have wanted to do it all by myself. I thought I'd get more power out of it, you know, with a small group in back of me. I mean, it was electric, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's modernized just because it's electric. You know, it was, you know, like country music was electric too.
I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more.
The Bring It All Back Home session was really fun because it was this sort of spontaneous telepathic thing, you know, like he might have, you know, played through a song very briefly, and that was all the rehearsal or preparation that anyone had for the songs. Everyone was really good, everyone was really funky, you know, everyone had great time, and, you know, and everyone really got behind Bobby's songs. It was almost like just getting together and jamming without you know, without any mandate or any charts or anything.
I was riding on the Mayflower when I thought I spotted some land.
He was playing all by himself at first, and then he stopped and everybody laughed. And then 2 seconds later, he started it again and everybody came in just bang like gangbusters.
I was riding on the Mayflower and I thought I spotted some land. I yelled for Captain E-Reb, I have you understand. Who came running to the deck, said, boys, forget the whale. We're going over yonder, cut the engines, change the sails. Haul on the bowline, we sang that melody like all tough sailors do when they're far away at sea.
I mean, the whole culture has moved and changed. This is really what we're announcing. The entire culture, both in America and England, has changed. There's a whole new generation that has grown up. Everybody.
Do the people at the Museum of Modern Art and the Metropolitan know about this, do you think? Do they know that culture has changed, that there's a new generation?
Well, they have been in the foreground of showing all this new pop art themselves, you know. Warhol will be there in Albert Hall, and Warhol's on the walls of the Museum of Modern Art for the last 5 years. But there were signs of new life, you know, of another generation picking up a revolution in consciousness, a bloodless revolution. You know, like the first revolution that never shed any blood. That was the important thing. I had just been kicked out of Cuba for just talking privately about Castro's persecution of gay people, and then went to Czechoslovakia, was elected King of May on May Day. A week later was kicked out by the Minister of Education and deported to London. And then I landed around the time of Dylan's concerts at Albert Hall. There was a very exciting scene back at the hotel, and Dylan was down the hall with the Beatles. Then a message came that I was supposed to come in there. So I came into the room, and everybody was sitting there totally stone cold, silent, frozen, paranoid. Not quite knowing my place, knowing Bob, I sat down on the side of his armchair. John Lennon said snidely, "Why don't you sit a little closer?" And I suddenly realized they were just so naive. They were young. So I fell over laughing onto John's lap, looking up at him, and asked him, "Do you ever read William Blake?" He said, "Never heard of him." And his wife said, "Oh, John, stop lying." Then everybody began laughing, and then the scene sort of broke up, you know, the ice was broken. It struck me as funny that these guys at the summit of power, spiritual power, musical power, world fame, 65, June, were so unsure of their minds and speech.
It interests me just to watch Dylan. I could sort of see that things that he did and said were interesting to me. And I didn't know why. And so that got me hooked on making a movie.
Do you really like that song?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What do you like about it?
I don't like any of the Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Oh, you're that kind of... Okay, so I understand right now.
When we go into a town, there'd be no sign. And there'd be people kind of just hanging out at the steps waiting for him to, and not waiting to crowd around or see him or get his autograph, just waiting for him. And it gave you a feeling that there was some substance that you had to really see through, that you weren't going to find out about this quickly, but you had to kind of see it the way they did.
In the dime stores and bus stations, people talk over situations, read books and repeat quotations, draw conclusions on the wall. Some speak of the future. My love, she speaks softly. She knows there's no success like failure, and that failure's no success at all.
Do you care about what you're saying? How can I answer that if you got the nerve to ask me?
Well, then how can
I mean, you got a lot of nerve asking me a question like that.
I have to ask
Do you ask the Beatles that?
I have to ask you that because you have the nerve to question whether I care.
I'm not questioning you because I don't expect any answer from you. But do you think somebody wouldn't go see somebody if they didn't want entertainment?
In the dime stores and bus stations.
We showed him the first rough cut. What he saw must have made him look like he was bare bones. And I think that was a big shock to him. But then he saw, I think the second night, he saw that it was total theater. It didn't matter. He was like an actor, and he suddenly had reinvented himself as the actor within this movie, and then it was okay. That's what he's good at, is getting used to the way things are. I mean, he understands that time changes everything.
They didn't like places. They didn't have to stop filming. If you ran, they ran. If you went into a room, they went into the room. At a certain point, you just became oblivious to that.
I was young, and I had expectations and wanted to be where the action was. And I should not have been there at that time. Everybody was having a wonderful time, and they were all smashing things up in the hotel room. And I was this weird square over in my room who didn't do all that stuff. I was very critical of everybody who did and wanted my time with Bob because I thought he was a special friend. And he'd moved on. And it was awful. I mean, it just hurt like hell. I assumed that since I'd invited him on the stage in the States, he would invite me on the stage there. He had no intention of doing that. He was ready to have that whole stage all over himself. That's what I'd say. He didn't want anybody competing with it. That's as close as I can get.
It was probably a stupid thing to do, but not letting her play. But you can't be wise and in love at the same time. So I hope she'd see the light sooner or later on that.
Bob is one of the most complex human beings I've ever met, and I think at first I really tried to figure this guy out. And I gave it up, and so I don't know. I don't know what he thought about. All I know is what he gave us.
A crash on the highway through a car into a field. Turn, turn, turn again. Poor people killed with him that will be. Turn, turn to the rain and the wind.
The poetry, it tumbles up, and I watched him write a typewriter or writing. It's done.
That love is just a four-letter word.
I never finished that song. Did I? Huh? No, I never finished it.
Oh, God. You finished it about 8 different ways.
Yeah.
I stole four-letter word. I took that and disappeared with it and sang it, and I think the next Bob knew about it. He heard it on the radio. I was with him when he heard it on the radio, and he was listening. He said, it's a great song. That's a great song he didn't remember he'd written. I said, yeah, you wrote it, you dope.
Strange it is to be beside you many years of tables turned. Probably not believe me if I told you all I've learned. And it is very, very weird indeed to hear words like forever fleet. So ships run through my mind, I cannot cheat. It's like looking in the teacher's face complete. I can say nothing to you but repeat what I heard. That love is just a four-letter, love is just a four-letter, love is just a four-letter word.
A lot of my songs, they were becoming hits for other people. There was the Byrds had a big hit. Some group called the Turtles had some hit. Sonny and Cher had a hit with a song of mine. People were sort of writing a jingly jangly kind of song, which they seemed to have something to do with me. Okay. I got Me Babe as some kind of takeoff. On something I wrote. Well, I don't know what it was a takeoff on that I wrote. I didn't really like that sound, or the folk rock, whatever that was. I feel it had anything to do with me. It got me thinking about the Billboard charts and songs which become popular, which I hadn't thought of that before.
Once upon a time you dressed so fine, you threw the bums a dime in your prime, didn't you?
I found myself writing this song, this story, this long piece of vomit, 20 pages long, and out of it I took like a Rolling Stone, and I made it as a single. And I'd never written anything like that before, and it suddenly came to me that was what I should do. After writing that, I wasn't interested in writing a novel or a play or anything. Like I knew, like I just had too much. I wanted to write songs.
About having to scrounge your next meal.
Mike Bloomfield said he'd heard my first record, and he said he wanted to show me how the blues were played. And I didn't feel much competitive. I didn't feel much competitive with him. He could outplay anybody, even at that point, But when it was time to bring in a guitar player on my record, I couldn't think of anybody but him. He just was the best guitar player I'd ever heard.
Okay, Bob, we got everybody here. Let's do one. And then producer named Tom Wilson invited me to a recording session. And me being 21 years old and incredibly ambitious and a big Bob Dylan fan, I decided I was going to play on that session. There was another guitar player who sat down and was warming up and just was playing far beyond my abilities. And he turned out to be Mike Bloomfield. I packed up my guitar and I went into the control room where I belonged. After the first couple of hours of the session, they moved the organ player over to piano. And I said, well, here's another chance for me. So I said to Tom Wilson, why don't you let me play the organ? I got a great part for this, which was total bull. And Tom Wilson said, oh man, you don't play the organ, you're a guitar player. I said, I got a really good part for this, I can play it. He said, Al, and just then someone came and got him to take a phone call that came in for him. So he didn't say no. Like a Rolling Stone, remake, take one. What are you doing there? At that point, he really could have just busted me and got me back in the control room. But he was a very gracious man, and so he let it go. And so I began to play. In the verses, in the beginning, you hear me come in always an eighth note behind the band to make sure that I played the right chord. The band would go boom, boom, and I'd go like that. Boom, 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 like that. They started playing it back. After about a verse or two, Bob said to Tom Wilson, "Hey, turn the organ up." And Tom Wilson said to Bob, "Oh man, that guy's not an organ player. He's just..." Then Bob said, "I don't care, turn the organ up."
Once upon a time you dressed so fine, threw the bumps of dime in your prime. Then you, people call, say beware doll, you're bound to fall, you thought they were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home? Like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone.
Like a Rolling Stone definitely broke through somewhere. I didn't feel like radio had ever played a song like that before. I know I'd never heard a song like that before. So, you know, and everything I'd done up to that point had led up to writing a song like that just effortlessly.
Like a Rolling Stone originally had about 50-some verses, as I recall. And people who think it's long now, you know, should have had a look at it when it was raw. I think he always made exactly the work that he wanted to make at the time he wanted to make it. The audience came to Bob. And that's one of the things that makes him so unique in the history of American music, is the audience came to Bob Dylan.
I've never been that kind of performer that wants to be one of them, you know, like one of the crowd. I don't try to endear myself that way. Now, do performers look for applause? Yeah, yes and no. It really depends what kind of performer you are. Like the story on Billie Holiday, you know, when she sang Strange Fruit for the first time, nobody applauded. You know, you can leave somebody in a kind of in a spellbound way, and I don't know. There's a lot of things going on when there's a performer on stage and there's an audience out there.
Green corn, green corn, green corn, green corn.
Now all I need in this creation, 3 months work, 9 vacations. Tell the boss any old time, the daytime's his, but the nighttime's mine.
That weekend, my daughter had been born. Pete Seeger had made a recording of her. And he played it. He opened the night on Sunday night at Newport, and he played this little recording of a new baby. He says, here's the first folk song, the first voice, and we're dedicating this festival and this music and our purposes to this new child, new world that she's going to grow up in. And that was kind of, you know, that's the way the evening began.
I was walking around in the afternoon, and Albert Grossman took me aside and said, Bob is looking for you. And he took me to Bob, and Bob said, I want to play Sunday night and try and reproduce what we did on the album. And I said, okay, sounds great.
Ladies and gentlemen, the person that's going to come up now has a limited amount of time. His name is Bob Dylan.
I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more.
sang the song, I Ain't Gonna Work on Maggie's Farm No More. I said, hey, look it, he's taking that old Penny's farm and putting it somewhere else. That's terrific. I thought that was interesting. But the volume of the blues band was kind of wild, and you couldn't get the words too clearly.
It was not possible to share the kind of intimacy that we were sharing with folk music when you've got those electric instruments going. The moment you've got drums there, everything's got to come up in level.
The sound was a bit harsh, but we thought it was way cool. And what we noticed was about a third of the audience was booing, which was unheard of, not in all our days of seeing whatever kind of show had we ever seen that.
I remember understanding that drugs were bad and alcohol was bad and rock and roll was wicked and sex was bad. And so I thought, oh my goodness, how depraved this is all getting.
I was thinking that somebody was shouting, "Are you with us? Are you with us?" And you know, I don't know what that, you know, like, what was that supposed to mean? I had no idea why they were booing. I don't think anybody was there having a negative response to those songs, though. I mean, whatever it was about, it wasn't about anything that they were hearing.
Could not understand the words, and I was frantic. I said, get that distortion out. It was so raspy. You could not understand a word. And I ran over to the sound system, get that distortion out of Bob's voice. No, this is the way they want to have it. I think, it's terrible. You can't understand it. If I had an axe, I'd chop the mic cable right now.
Gone to the finest school, all right, Miss Lonely, but you know you only used to get juice in the head. Nobody's ever taught you how to live out on the street, and now you're gonna have to get used to it.
We ran backstage, and there was mayhem going on. Pete Seeger and Theodore Bikel and all the old guard, the old leftist protest singing factions were horrified and thought, this is pop music, this isn't folk music. And there was just a big battle raging backstage, and I understand Pete Seeger had an axe and was going to go cut the electric cables and had to be, you know, subdued. And Theodore Bikel was saying, this is what the young people want. We have to go with the change. This is what's happening now. So they were all arguing among themselves.
Seeger, from all reports, was very, very upset by this, and I had heard that he tried to cut the wires and that he'd gone into a car and wouldn't come out after this whole thing.
That's not my interpretation. You see, Pete's father was there, Charlie Seeger, and he had a hearing aid. And Charlie was very distressed when he couldn't hear things clearly. And with all this sound coming from the speakers, Charlie Seeger was quite upset, and I think that affected Pete.
He used to cry the chrome horse with your diplomat, who carried on his shoulder a Siamese cat. Ain't it hard when you discover that he really wasn't where it's at? After he's taken from you everything he could steal.
considered a real sellout music for a lot of folk fans. And like a Rolling Stone, it seemed like the direct slap in the face to everything the Topical songs represented. How does it feel to be on your own? And then they took it as this most extremely negative, selfish statement, basically. And it was, it was not better world a coming, it was not that.
I thought he would go out and play some other stuff by himself, and then we'd come out and play these 3 songs. But we just came out and played these 3 songs, and then he said good night, and we'd been out there for a total of 15 minutes. And everybody else had played for an hour. So that was pretty weird. And he was the headliner.
Bobby, can you do another song, please? He's gonna get his axe. He's coming.
Bobby was terribly shaken, and I ran backstage. And he said to me, "What have you done to me?"
Peter Yarrow came out and said, "Okay, everybody calm down. Bob's gone to get his acoustic guitar," and everybody, yay!
The highway is for gamblers. Better use your sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence. The empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheets. The sky too is folding over you, and it's all over now, baby blue.
I'd heard a rumor that Pete was going to cut the cable, and I heard it later, and it was like, it didn't make sense to me, like Pete Seeger, like someone who's like whose music I cherish, like someone who I highly respect is going to cut the cable. It was like, oh God, it was like a dagger, it was just the thought of it was, made me go out and get drunk.
Strike another match, go start anew. And it's all over now, baby blue.
I remember seeing Bob later on that evening looking kind of blue, as though he hadn't made the point that he wanted to make properly. He didn't want to feel that he was limited here or limited there. He wanted to do something with the Butterfield Blues Band, and it was great.
Every night after the concerts, the festival people would have a party, and Bob was sitting in the corner, I guess thinking about what had happened. I said, "Hey, Bob, do you want to dance?" And he looked up at me and said, "I'd dance with you, Maria, but my hands are on fire." And it's sort of like, that was a cryptic remark, but I kind of knew exactly what he meant, so I said, "Okay, man," and I just left him alone.
A couple months later, I played Forest Hills. There, the first half was acoustic, the second half was rock and roll, the electric half. Silence, booing, at least 15, 20 kids ran on the stage through the whole electric set. There'd be somebody 2-3 times during a number actually jumping on the stage and running around amongst the musicians. Incredible animosity in the audience. I think it was the only concert I've ever been at where that animosity was that strong and you actually felt a little threatened if you applauded during this, which I did.
When we played Forest Hills, Like a Rolling Stone was #1. And so when we played Like a Rolling Stone, they stopped booing and sang along. And then when we finished, they started booing again. I thought that was great. I enjoyed that. But at the party after the show, Bob came running up to us and gave us big hugs. He said, "That was fabulous. It was great. It was like a carnival. It was fantastic." He really enjoyed the show.
The booing didn't really, you know, I had a perspective on the booing because you got to realize you can kill somebody with kindness too.
Oh, God said to Abraham, kill me a son. Abe said, man, you must be putting me on. God said, no. Abe said, what? God said, you can do what you want, Abe, but next time you see me coming, you better run. Well, Abe said, where you want this killing done? God said, on Highway 61.
I walked into the studio and he was out there in the corner and I walked up and I said, "Bob, I'm Bob Johnson." He said, "How you doing?" And he smiled at me. All I remember is Dylan doing that and starting in, and from that moment, I really have no memory. Nobody ever counted off for Dylan. He always did what he wanted to, and I always just got the sound pretty well, and he seemed to love the sound.
You walk into the room with your pencil in your hand. You see somebody naked and you say, "Who is that man?"
I was just caught in this whirlwind of, of being tacked on to this music that was going to be forever and being involved in it and knowing that it was going to be forever.
Because something is happening here, but you don't know what it is.
The music actually changed by, I think the word is freedom. Everything was changing. It wasn't like 4 songs a session. There wasn't any clock. I took all the clocks down. Nobody had a clock in there. It's just like, play some music. What about this thing? What about this?
Calling 86845, #1.
Einstein disguised as Robin Hood with his memories in his trunk. Passed this way an hour ago with his friend, a jealous monk.
I believe in giving credit where credit's due. I don't think Dylan had a lot to do with it. I think God, instead of touching him on the shoulder, he kicked him in the ass. Really? And that's where all that came from. He can't help what he's doing. I mean, he's got the Holy Spirit about him. You can look at him and tell that.
When I ride a mail train, baby, can't buy no thrill.
Takes a lot to laugh, takes a train to cry. In fact, there was 2 versions that I cut. The first version, which turned up on bootlegs, was like it was a much faster, much more jivey version. Sounded kind of a lot like the other things that had been done.
What are you doing with this song, man? It's not such a terrible song to do.
Then he said, "Let's take a break," and he set everybody off. Basically, it was a lunch break or whatever. People went out for an hour. He was sitting alone at the piano, working over, play a few chords, and he'd scribble something down. And they came back and they did that other take after the lunch break, and it was like the much slower, bluesier version you hear on the album, and it's really changed the whole character and the feel of the song. It was really, really nice.
Well, I ride on a mail train, babe. Can't buy a thrill.
I'd like to know about the cover of your album. I'd like to know about the meaning of the photograph with you and the wearing a Triumph T-shirt.
What was you want to know about it?
Well, I'd like to know that that's an equivalent photograph. It means something. It's got a philosophy in it. And I'd like to know visually what it represents to you, because you're a part of that.
I haven't really looked at it that much.
I've thought about it a great deal.
It was just taken one day when I was sitting on the steps, you know. I don't really remember very too much about it.
Well, what about the motorcycle as an image in your songwriting? You seem to like that.
Oh, we all like motorcycles to some degree.
I do.
Do you prefer songs with a subtle or obvious message?
With a what?
A subtle or obvious message.
A message? You mean like, what song with a message?
Well, like Eve of Destruction and things like that.
Do I prefer that to what?
I don't know, but your songs are supposed to have a subtle message.
Subtle message?
Well, they're supposed to.
Where'd you hear that?
In a movie magazine.
Oh, my God.
Do you think of yourself primarily as a singer or as a poet?
Oh, I think of myself more as a song and dance man, you know.
Mr. Dillon, I know you dislike labels, and probably rightly so, but for those of us who are well over 30, could you label yourself and perhaps tell us what your role is?
Well, sort of label myself as well under 30. And my role is to, you know, to just stay here as long as I can.
You're considered by many people to be symbolic of the protest movement in the country for the young people. Are you going to participate in the Vietnam Day Committee demonstration in front of the Fairmont Hotel tonight?
I'll be busy tonight.
Things have gotten out of hand. You know, it fell into the, you know, you ask me why I write surreal songs or whatever. I mean, that type of activity is surreal. I had no answers to any of those questions any more than any other performer did, really. But, you know, that didn't stop the press or people or whoever they were from asking these questions. They, for some reason, the press thought that performers had the answers to all these problems in society, and you know, like what can you say to something like that? I mean, it's just kind of absurd.
Phil Oakes wrote something in a recent Broadside magazine to the effect that you have twisted so many people's wigs that he feels that it becomes increasingly dangerous for you to perform in public before an audience.
Well, that's the way it goes, you know. I can't apologize, certainly.
You feel that part of the popularity is because of an identification of your audience with you or with what you're saying or what you've been writing about?
I have no idea.
Mr. Dillon, you seem very reluctant to talk about the fact that you're a popular entertainer, and you're a most popular entertainer.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Well, I don't understand why you
well, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say about it?
Well, you seem almost embarrassed to admit that you're to talk about.
Well, I'm not embarrassed. I mean, you know, what do you want exactly me to say? You want me to jump up and say hallelujah and crash the cameras and do something weird? Tell me. I'll go along with you. If I can't go along with you, I'll find somebody to go along with you.
No, but I find it, you really have no idea as to why you, or no thoughts on why you're popular. That's what interests me on it.
I just haven't really struggled for that. I don't, it happened, you know? It happened like anything else happens.
How many people who labor in the same musical vineyard in which you toil, how many are protest singers? That is, people who use their music and use the songs to protest the social state in which we live today, the matter of war, the matter of crime, or whatever it might be.
How many?
Yes. Are there many who do?
Yeah, well, I think there's about 136.
You say about 136? Or do you mean exactly 136?
It's either 136 or 142.
At a certain point, people seem to have a distorted, warped view of me for some reason, and those people were usually outside of the musical community. The spokesman of a generation, the conscience of this and that and the other. I mean, that I could not relate to. I just couldn't relate to it. As long as I could continue doing what it is that I love to do, I didn't care what kind of labels were put on me or how I was perceived in the press, because I was playing to people every night.
I played at the Hollywood Bowl. Then I left the organization. I actually was frightened when I got the tour itinerary to see that we were going to play Dallas, where they had just killed the president. And I thought, you know, if they didn't like that guy, what are they going to think of this guy? And I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to be the analogy to John Connolly. I didn't want to be the guy next to him.
I started out on Burgundy, but soon hit the harder stuff. Everybody said they'd stand behind me when the game got rough.
The guys that were with me on that tour, which later became the band, you know, we were all in it together. We were putting our heads in the lion's mouth, and I had to admire them for sticking it out with me. Just for doing it, in my book, they were, you know, gallant knights for even, you know, standing behind me.
By the time we got to England, it was out of control. And I don't know if word of mouth preceded our concert tour, but it really was pretty revolutionary in the fact that here was someone who everyone loved, and they didn't like what he was doing. And they were showing it.
These stages were created for people who stood on stage and recited Shakespearean plays. They weren't made for this kind of music we were playing. The sound was pretty archaic, really. The sound really hadn't been perfected. The sound quality hadn't been perfected many years after that.
The first half of the concert was Bob Dylan, alone, acoustic, and harmonica. When we kicked off the second half, I mean, we did kick ass and take names. And we got everyone in there's attention. They knew that we had arrived. Because they were such fans of his acoustic set, that when we came in and did the electric set, people have said the word to me that he was a traitor to folk music, the pure music.
I mean, I just about had it, though. I'd had it with the whole scene. And I was, whether I knew it or didn't know it, I was looking to just quit for a while.
Well, what about the scene? What did you had it with? What about the scene you're sick of?
Well, you know, people like you, people like, you know, like just, you know, like just being pressed and hammered and, you know, expected to answer questions. You know, like, what can you know, like, is enough to make anybody sick, really.
Half one and half the other. Craig! That's what he is.
Everybody's wondering when your friendship's gonna end, but come on, baby, I'm your friend, and I know up.
Complete rubbish.
Pathetic. Burn the group and be
Moronic.
We pay to see a flipping folk singer, not big groups.
Did you boo me last night?
I didn't. We didn't, Bob. I didn't. Please, just a minute.
Well, I want the names of all the people that booed me.
We didn't boo you. Come back soon.
Okay. I'll be back in a month or two.
Oh, very good.
So long. Cheerio. Oh, you sweet, lovely people.
Oh,
Sweet. For the first half, when they're all so quiet, I'll just I'll play 4 or 5 songs, and they just don't make a sound. I'll just go boo. Boo. And then Albert will come and go boo.
Right. Hey, I love the description in the paper last night. That was classic. There wasn't one truth in the entire article. It was all the most fantastic lies they could concoct.
Well, from what town, man?
From the last town, Edinburgh. Another night of catcalls for Dylan.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Many of the audience walked out.
I saw one, man. Did you see one paper that said, everybody walked out?
I haven't seen that one.
Everybody walked out. I saw a paper that said, everybody walked out. In Liverpool, I saw it.
They're really losing their minds, you know, really. Totally insane.
I'm gonna walk out.
We want the real Dylan. Dylan, stand up.
I've decided just to tell them, man, that Dylan got sick.
They've said that you must be the ultimate beatnik.
What do you think? Just, I won't tell anybody what you say. What do you think?
Not your personal comment.
No. What do you think?
I have no opinion about that.
Well, why?
Because I haven't heard you sing, actually.
You've never heard me sing. And here you are sitting here and asking me all these questions.
Well, this is my job.
Yeah, well...
That's my job.
Can you just suck your glasses for 1 second? Just put them in your mouth for 1 second. Put the corner of your glasses in your mouth. That's it. Just suck your glasses. No, that's what they suck. No, just like that.
Does anybody want to suck my glasses?
Yeah.
Do you agree that you should be the leader of singers with a message?
No, I don't know what that is.
Don't you think your first records were much better than the ones you do now?
Who said that?
This one here, this fellow here.
You? Ask him if he's American.
Huh?
Are you American?
I'm French.
Yes.
Well, that's why you probably think the first records are better.
Why? Why do you sing?
Why? Just because I feel like singing.
Parce qu'il a envie de chanter, qu'il aime chanter. Do you have anything particularly special to express when you sing?
No.
No.
This is called... It's a folk song. It's a folk song. I want to sing a folk song now. I knew that would make you happy. This is called, yes, I see you've got your brand new leopard skin pillbox hat.
Come on, it won't take long. It won't take...
They don't ask me. Those other two people don't ask me. Why do you?
Why shouldn't he give it? Why shouldn't he give it?
What do we come out to see it for? Because they like me. They said...
We don't like you anymore.
You call me a bum.
That's all you want. Well, may I have your autograph? You call you bum, you sign your autograph.
You call me a bum.
Come on, Bob.
Come on.
Now, you don't need my autograph. If you needed it, I'd give it to you.
Just give him the autograph, will you?
What's wrong with him today, eh?
Ain't it just like the night to play tricks when you're trying to be so quiet? We sit here stranded, though we all do our best to deny it. And Louise holds a handful of rain, tempting you to defy it. Lights flicker from the opposite loft. In this room, the heat pipes just cough. The country music station plays soft, but there's nothing, really nothing to turn off. Just Louise and her lover so entwined, and these visions of Johanna that conquer my mind.
We've been on the road a long time, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. I guess maybe we have.
We've been on the road a very long time. Man, I can't make it tonight. I don't know how to cover up for it. It's something I never figured out. There's nothing I can do about it. I just shouldn't be singing. I think I'm gonna get me a new Bob Dylan next week. Get me a new Bob Dylan and use him. Just use him. Here's the new Bob Dylan. See how long he lasts.
He brags of his misery. He likes to live dangerously. And when bringing her name up, he speaks of her farewell kiss to me. He sure got a lot of gall to be so useless and all, muttering small talk at the wall while I'm in the hall. Oh, how can I explain? It's so hard to get on. And these visions of Johanna, they kept me up past the dawn.
I want to go home. You know what home is? I don't want to go to Italy no more. I don't want to go nowhere no more. You end up crashing in a private airplane in the mountains of Tennessee. Or Sicily.
When you stay and then when you stay in the States, I mean, when you come back?
I don't know. I just want to go home. Are you in the controls at all?
Yep. The locked room recording studio upstairs.
Some of it's picks up great here. The acoustics are fantastic. I don't know what they'll be like.
Fellas, come here, please. About 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes.
No, I mean, by the time you get down there, it'll be 2 minutes. Not 2 minutes we start to go down there.
Oh, it'll be 2 minutes now.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Hey, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, man. Wait, sorry.
Last on the bill, not least, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, back from the grave. Right, straight from the grave.
I don't believe you. You're a liar.
Lay down your weary tune, lay down. Lay down this song you strum and rest yourself neath the strength of strings. No voice can hope to hum. Struck by the sounds before the sun, I knew the night had gone. The morning breeze like a bugle blew against the drums of dawn. Lay down your lay down this song you strum and rest yourself neath the strength of strings. No voice can hope to hum. The ocean wild like an organ played. The seaweeds wove its strands. The crashing waves like cymbals clashed against the rocks and the sands. Lay down your weary tune, lay down. Lay down the song of leaves fell from the trees and clung to a new love's breast. Their branches bare like a banjo moan to the winds that listen the best. I gazed down in the river's mirror and watched its winding strum. The water smooth ran like a hymn, and like a harp did hum. Lay down your weary tune, lay down. Lay down the song you strum and rest yourself 'neath the strength of strings. No voice can hold